yesterday I was at a REFIT meeting. And REFIT is a committee, it's an organization, Reform Educational Financial Inequities Today. And so I'm part of that board, and we do advocacy work to reform the way schools are financed. So it was interesting because after we finished our business, we had a conversation that kind of went on to what's currently happening in education. We talked a little bit about APPR. We talked a little bit about Cuomo's epiphany that something has to be done with Common Core, even though that's really not the issue, it's the test and all the other stuff. But what was interesting in the conversation is that we were talking about how that conversation, the Common Core, the APPR conversation, seems to be a distractor for what's really going on behind the scenes, which is to try to move this charter school into place. And so it was abundantly clear to all the people who were there that we really need to start having a conversation about what's really going on. Not that the APPR is not important, not that Common Core isn't important, but it's the old, bait and switch. If you're not paying attention to what's going on here, you're going to miss what's going on over here. And it would impact public schools more than we can even discuss at this meeting, because the funding, just on the funding alone, charter schools work where the charter schools get their money first, and then the public schools get everything, get what's left to do what we need to do for all kids. We don't get to choose for kids to come to public schools. So the conversation, so we need to really have a conversation on that, and that was, something that we talked about. There was one member on in REFIT, she's in Iceland, and she was saying that in her school district they're starting a letter writing campaign on GEA, an elimination of GEA, and to work on restoring the money that has been lost. So they were doing it through Know Your School Night, and I said, well, you know what, I'll bring it back, and the rationale was because by the time January happens, the governor has already made his decision as to what the budget's going to look like. The conversation is done. You're just reacting. So their thought is to kind of be more proactive as opposed to reactive. So I thought I would bring that back here, and maybe, I don't know, the PTA or whoever, the powers that be might want to get started with a letter writing campaign to address that, along with other pertinent issues. And I think that's all I have. Oh, and welcome everybody. It's nice to see a lot of new faces and old faces, and I do look forward to having a great year. So at this time, see that there are no other comments from the board. I'm going to open the floor for our first comment section. I have to read my dissertation. At this time, we're going to open the floor for our first session of comments and questions from our community members. Just so you're aware that this session is timed. It will last 30 minutes. To be fair and productive, we ask that you follow the following protocol. Being that we have no podium, I'm just going to ask you to stand at your seat. And when you stand up, you need to state your name and your address before asking your question. We ask that you do so in the event that we may need to follow up with additional information to your answer. Or you may not be able to answer your question right now. We may have to come back to you and answer it at a later date. Please direct your question and concern to me, and I will either respond, probably not, or I'll direct your question to the appropriate individual, Dr. Carey. I'm getting better now, so. We'll have 3 minutes per person to speak. We ask that you post only one question, make one comment, and if you have a follow-up question, unless you have a follow-up question, we respectfully ask that you go to the end of the line or wait until everyone's kind of gotten through, and we'll come back to you if you have another question or comment. Please be aware that we are not allowed to comment or discuss matters that include personnel or issues that pertain to a specific child in public. If it is perceived that your comments are targeting a specific individual or individuals, you will be interrupted and asked to refrain from making such comments. Refusal to stop could result in the remainder of your time being forfeited, or could result in me, the chair, ending the comment session completely. And I think that would be unfair because there are a lot of people here who may have something to say. So please, I ask that you follow the protocol. Finally, we understand that at times, we are passionate about concerns that we have, I personally think that lady who knows me well, knows that I'm very passionate, can get excitable. But I try to make sure that when I have a comment or something that I want to address, I'm polite and respectful. So I ask that we all do the same, because at the end of the day, we're here for the customers, children, and the community. So I thank you again for your cooperation, and let's begin. Use that. Okay. Yes.
Good evening. Stay in my seat.
No, I'm just staying right there, because there's no mic or anything.
All right, I'm loud enough. Good evening, Nita J. Meredith, 758 Wesley Street. My one question has to do with just a follow-up with regard to Schubert. Just wanted to know about the anticipated income and if the previous situation and those fees, those costs that were due us, have they been settled?
In terms of the prior tenant, most of it has been received. We are working on getting the remainder of the amount of money owed to us. But again, there's an agreement in place that doesn't really allow us to speak about any details. The Schubert lease with Uniondale is approximately an annual income of about $320,000 for the first floor, excluding the gym and the all-purpose room. Inclusive of the all-purpose room, but it does
not
not
the
include
gym.
the gym, right? And we also provide custodial services inside of that agreement. So it's in the neighborhood of about $300,000 that we're receiving for about half the building.
Okay. And just the way the residents, because a lot of the residents in that area, I believe there was a format that was shared prior to that, how the residents would be informed that all of a sudden you'd have buses, cars, and people in the neighborhood. A lot of the residents were not aware of what was going on at Schubert, so I don't know how that works. But again, I don't know how that also pertains to the school crossing guard situation, which is still an issue that I'm hoping that we
At
can get
Schubert,
addressed
isn't
out.
it?
I'm
Are
sorry?
you saying the school crossing guard at Schubert? is
Well,
it?
just in general, in terms of just residents and just the schools
Right.
overall, particularly those coming from our side going over to Lennox, because again, heaven forbid, a child or a parent or grandparent gets injured crossing over Grand Avenue.
You know, one of the things that we did this summer, so, you know, a lot of this was brought to our attention last year, really specifically, Brookside was kind of highlighted as having.
Right, because of the pickup and delivery, yeah.
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time over the summer talking about it and figuring things out. We put in some new procedures at Brookside that seemed to be working. There were changes in the plaza that seemed to be working. One other school that, Meadow, there is an increased police presence, at least up until this point, to help with the traffic flow. So we've made some progress there. That seems to be working. Lennox is one that we've not really looked at, but we certainly can do that. But you know, we actually feel pretty good about some of the changes that we made up until this point, and it's something we'll continue to monitor. Dr. Draper and Mr. Randazzo have been at those schools constantly, not only looking at the traffic, but also monitoring the breakfast program and the lunch program. We all took schools the first day of school. We split up all the schools and we were a presence at each of them. So we'll continue to do that to make sure that that it works, because what we do also know is in the change of seasons, things change. So we're watching that. We did not get some of the cooperation we had hoped for from some of the outside agencies, but you know, we're still working on it.
Okay, just so you know, we're also monitoring what's going on with that former restaurant Ming's on that corner of Stanton, because they're tearing, the restaurant is being demolished,
Okay.
and our church is going to be built there. So we're monitoring to make sure that they don't try to put up the 10-foot fence, the brick fence that they were trying to do before.
Right, because Mr. Scannell did, write in when you have that opportunity to, respond. I do remember, or recall them talking about it, responding about it being a safety issue because people would be able to see.
Yeah, we
around.
definitely pushed that, so they didn't get the variance for that, but they did get the approval, so now the building is being demolished.
Yeah.
So I'm just making sure everyone is cognizant of that. And there's another facility that's going to go up, October 1st is another town hall meeting, because on Grand Avenue and Barnes, there's a restrictive ordinance that they're going to try to remove because someone wants to build a senior center, senior facility there. So they're trying to get their variance removed so that they can increase the selling price for that. But again, it's going to have fencing and things like that. So we're trying to encourage residents to show up at these town meetings because these things are impacting us. And anything that is going to increase traffic where we have schools, we have to be aware of that. So thank you for the update.
Good evening. My name is James Gavai, 602 Joy Boulevard. First, Lennox is probably easier fixing than I think with the congestion there. First, the comment is really to give a little praise to Principal Marr in the middle school when there was a huge transportation issue this week. Emailed me right back, had Phil, I can never say his last name right.
Schlenner.
Thank you. Call me right away, and he and I have been talking all week. It was a significant transportation issue, but if you're not aware, the overcrowding is, I think they're trying to deal with it, but we still do have children that are sitting on the floor in some of the buses traveling to and fro. They are trying to deal with it. They are sending buses, but it is an issue of, in my opinion, and I'll defer to you all to research that, pick up locations. You have 10,000 being picked up here, 2 here, and I think there's just some restructuring that might need to be done. They have informed us for the bus pending bus strike. I think they sent messages home that children should be now tomorrow 15 minutes earlier than their normal pickup time, which still is being worked out, so we may just sleep out there tonight, I'm not sure. But I definitely want to give kudos to them. They have, it's my second year living in Baldwin. I did come from Hard-Nosed Queens District, and I used to live in Elmont, so I came out prepared. But so far, so good.
Thank you.
Robert Kugelmass, 979 Van Buren Street. District of Distinction. Every year Baldwin comes up with an accolade to trumpet. This year, it's District of Distinction. So says Public Administrator Magazine. The honor is based on the Career Intern Program. And I know the board is looking for additional intern programs. May I suggest public relations, because that is what the Baldwin School District excels at. You could network with outside PR firms, but also your neophyte seniors could learn a lot from attending school board meetings. Lesson number 1, find an incestuous, lightweight vendor to award you a flyweight accolade. New York City has had career education dating back to Woodrow Wilson. But Baldwin acts as if it invented career education. That's good PR. And last year's accolade, after you had cut both musicals, Suzuki, and jazz, your oblivious music vendors discordantly awarded you a music star, which you trumpeted. Every year, the board majority puts on the Music Man. Professor Harold Hill comes to town to fleece the community using music. I think of that scam every time a board member recounts what a wonderful concert they attended and how terrific our third graders sing. Yeah, every parent enjoys watching their kids perform. Rah-rah football and basketball too. Kids sing well and enjoy sports in every suburban school district in the country. Nothing special here. Baldwin is a very average suburban school district with very subpar, sub-average student achievement levels and a very old infrastructure. We pay Mercedes-Benz tuition and have a high-mileage Chevy that needs a fill-up every 2 weeks with $8 a gallon premium. But you wouldn't know that from the report cards presented in board meetings. Our head teacher's presentation is incomprehensible. But that's good damage control. bury our poor results in double talk and gobbledygook. Our administration coaches and encourages our students and parents to opt out of assessment tests. In this district of distinction, our assessments stink. SATs, ACTs, Regents, math, ELA assessments, all bad. Why add another bad assessment on the pile? Public relations is damage control. Muddy the waters by opting out. It's smart PR. But no awards for our terrific summer school program. Our graduation rate would be in the 70s or the 60s if our summer school couldn't prop up its substantial student population to the low bar of 65. Thank goodness our administration can't opt out of the regions. Congratulations to Baldwin and Roosevelt. Yeah, our neighbor Roosevelt is also a district of distinction, just like Baldwin.
I just wanted to say that, Kathy Perez, 1690 Westervelt Avenue. Just wanted to thank everyone here for all of the love and care that you've shown my children for the past 10 years. I got a closing date on my house today. So Danny will be finishing up at Plaza in the next couple of weeks, and my other two are already in their two new schools. I want to tell you that even with moving them over to Merrick, my daughter's coming home from honors ELA in Merrick, saying that she's reading books there that she read here in 7th grade. So I think that says something for the program here. And you know, my son was taken right into the band, and they're very impressed with the music and the fact that he plays 3 instruments, and they're transitioning over there. So when I see the wonderful foundation that they've been given here to go somewhere else, I just, you know, all I can do is thank you for that and for the love and care that all of you and the teachers and everyone have given my children, and really from the bottom of my heart, I am going to miss Emerson.
Hi, Marissa Rodriguez, 872 Grand Traverse Avenue. I just wanted to inquire about what is being done or what I can do as a community member to get pre-K in our community. I know that this was a topic of discussion in a previous meeting or previous meetings that I was not able to attend, but I know that my friends, families, and things of such are having them in their community, and I was just wondering what is being done or what I can do or have other people do in their community to get this program out.
So there's basically 2 ways for a pre-K program, right? One is a private pre-K program that you pay for, and the other is a public pre-K program. And there's been a lot of talk about public pre-K in New York State. The problem with the talk is that the money is only funded in certain places. So you know that New York City received the overwhelming majority of money that was given in the most recent grant. I'm putting that in quotes. There were only a few other recipients of that, Uniondale being one, and then other districts. And it was really decided based on poverty and socioeconomics. So the reality of it is that I don't see us eligible for pre-K anytime soon. It so happens that that conversation is still going on, and the next, I think, it's either next week or the week after, there is some forum to have I don't want to say conversation because I'm not going to be conversing, but to hear what is being said about pre-K in New York State. So I'm going to go to hear what is said. If I'm honest, I don't really have a lot of hope that Baldwin is going to receive a lot of money. The other problem that the districts that are getting the money is what they're going to face is that at some point the grant is going to run out, and then you need to sustain that program. Because if you're going to bring a pre-K program into your district, you don't want to bring it because you have a 3-year grant and then in the 4th year lose your pre-K program. I don't hear any solutions to that at this point. So I don't have a good answer to your question. What I can tell you is that we're not eligible for the money that's out there now, but we do kind of have our ear open to hear what's being said.
Sorry. How does that then put our students that are going to be competing with these other districts that have these programs in? I mean, as a mother of 2 small children who are paying for them to go, actually, not like another mortgage payment for them to go to these programs, I'm left with choosing between the higher end that I know where my kids are going to get that best education, you know, just to offset cost. So I'm just thinking as a parent, how does that put my child in competition with these other children who are getting these services already at no cost?
Yeah, so the majority of ones that are there at no cost are being put in those communities to try and level the playing field for those kids. So that would not be honestly where my concern is, because communities like ours and others, parents are paying for their kids to go to pre-K. There's no good answer. There was a lot of talk last year, you know, the governor and the mayor were talking about pre-K for everybody. But of course, kindergarten is only a mandated half-day program. So, you know, what people then started to say is, okay, we're gonna mandate pre-K as a full-day program, and then what's going to happen to kindergarten? It really is an issue of money, and in a lot of places, it's an issue of money and space. We have the space. We don't have the money.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, I couldn't do better.
No. Thank you.
Seeing that I don't see anybody looking like they're gonna pop out like a thumb.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kimberly Bell, 2948 Eastern Boulevard. And I just wanted to get up and first say that I honor the life of Sheila Cohen, and I walk in her legacy tonight to say that I am a proud, very proud member of Baldwin community and Baldwin School District. So I want to say to our superintendent, to our Board of Education members, that I thank you for the work and for the energy and effort that you put into our school district and to raising the bar. I have 4 children in this school district. They are all growing and thriving. They're doing very well. 1 at the high school, 2 at the middle school level, and 1 at Steele Elementary School. I was so excited in reading the letter from our superintendent when I got it over this summer, talking about the academies and the introduction to the academies at the 8th grade level. Also the new TV studio up at the high school, in which we got a chance to see some of it tonight in the presentation. But all of these opportunities that are afforded to our children here. And when I see my own children who are certainly above average, I want to say thank you, because it is a village. It takes a village, and I am a proud member of this village. So I want to say thank you.
I'm speaking today really not for myself, but as the Plaza Board Liaison for the PTA. A friend of mine who has a child who just went to middle school wanted me to share this concern on her behalf. She wanted me to point out that she felt that her child and some other children that she knows had kind of a rough transition to being bused to the middle school. And she would like to share that though these children in 6th grade are 11 years old, for the most part, they have never been bused before. So they need maybe a little bit more support about what bus to be on, and knowing their bus number, not having it change at the last minute, having staff people that can direct them on that first day to the right bus. So it's a smoother transition for them. So I just want to share that.
So I'm gonna go sort to the business of the board. Personnel action report. Board of Education approves personnel action report dated September 9, 2015 as amended as detailed in the financial. Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Because this contains names of individuals we cannot discuss together. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
So I'm just going to interrupt for a minute. I would like to introduce and congratulate Peter McKelly for just receiving tenure as a school psychologist.
Anything on the
We won't stare at you as you go.
Although if you want to analyze the rest of us, I don't know.
Maybe one-on-one.
Special services, the Board of Education approves the actions of the superintendent of schools as the Board of Education executive officer to the Committee on Special Education sub-CSE, the Committee on Preschool Special Education, and 504 Committee for Services in May, June, July, and August 2015 as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. Maresca, again because the school name names the students, we're not allowed to discuss it in public. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have no home tutoring special education service report this month. Okay, moving on to the business. The Board of Education accepts with thanks a donation of $70,000, yes, I said $70,000, from the Herman Auerbach Memorial Trust Fund to be used for innovation and creativity projects involved with schools as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Other than the big word update, are there any comments on this?
I was just gonna ask, do we know yet what they're going to do with the money?
We do not.
Okay.
The money is given to us based on a desire to really head in the direction of innovative and creative programming. So it's basically sitting in an account. The final say of where that money gets spent lies with me. But some of the ideas, I'll give you an example, and I should say that we're receiving the $70,000, but there's another $10,000 that we're not receiving the cash, but we're receiving the benefits of. We're going to have a theater arts troupe from Soweto who is going to be coming to Baldwin and working with some of our elementary school students. They're going to be spending 2 days here and working with some of our elementary school kids. So that's sort of an additional $10,000. But inside the $70,000, we're going to be, for example, doing a whole arts and education, not arts and education, but visual thinking strategies in conjunction with the Nassau County Museum of Art. So if we want to take kids to the Nassau County Museum of Art, there's nothing to prevent us because we can pay for busing to get the kids there. If we want to bring in an improvisations troupe to work with, let's say, our 6th graders, we can do that. We are looking at the possibility of creating what we're terming an innovatrium, which is going to be a room where kids can create and discover and really dig deep. That would be a combination of not only like technology things, but things like Legos and building blocks where kids can really explore and discover. Should a school decide to do that, part of the funding would come from there. So the money is sitting there really to fund a way of thinking and a way of learning that we would not otherwise have that kind of funding.
And we'll get updates as.
Yep, we'll
As
get
the year goes
updates, and I will share that it was not a grant based on poverty or need, it was not a grant that was a competitive grant, it was a grant that we were chosen based on affiliations that I have with this organization. Thank you.
So, I mean, my question was sort of along those lines, but, and I think you probably could answer or clarify it. I'm just wondering, especially now given some of the programs that you mentioned, if any of that can be used to fund some of the, like the smaller productions at high school, the drama productions that are not funded.
Yeah, it's not meant for that. at least for this year, it's really being targeted at the elementary level. My expectation is that there's going to be a second smaller grant in the spring, and we will probably be the recipients of this kind of funding each year for, at least the next few years. So where that money goes kind of depends on the direction that we move.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But it's for innovative programs, not to support existing programs.
Right. Mr. Russell, do you have anything? Okay. So, seeing if there are any more comments, all those in favor? Aye. Board of Education accepts with thanks a donation of $2,000 from Richard Simonetti for the varsity football team to offset the cost of team dinners, awards, video production, and team gear as detailed in Friday night. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education accepts with thanks a donation of $250 from the Long Island Arts Alliance Scholar Artist Program to be used to benefit the honorees Ashley Mayers, art teacher, as detailed in the Friday mail. Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments?
Again, this is a very small amount of money, so I'm not questioning its use, but if it goes to the teacher, then she has discretion over how to, there's no strings attached to it, I guess is my question. So she just has discretion as to how she.
Right, she and the arts department.
Okay.
All those in favor? The Board of Education approves the budget transfers over $10,000 as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press.
Second.
Second by Mrs. DeRusco. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this item?
I have,
Just,
so in our Friday mailing, I see that there were 3 separate transfers. And I just wanted to know about the Friday mailing, which was fund technology services provided by Nassau BOCES, and if you could give some more information on that.
Sure. So over this past summer, we've had a lot of work to do in stripping down a lot of our technology and rebuilding our technology. To do that, we brought in the folks at Nassau BOCES. There is a high level of technical support. There's lots of different services that you can get from BOCES. This one is to help us at the highest level. So the whole concept of the infrastructure, the networking, our wireless system, the way our data is stored, the configuration of our networks. This past summer, we really focused on the infrastructure that's located here. So we redid a lot of our storage, the way that our data is stored. We did a lot of rewiring, a lot of stripping down of the infrastructure. And we're going forward with that support for the remainder of the school year. So that's a July 1 to June 30th contract. In addition, there are 2 folks from Nassau BOCES that are going to be working as techs in our district. So we have multiple open positions, and we have not permanently filled them because once we rebuild our infrastructure, we'll have a better sense of the type of position that we think we need to hire to do that. And so we are bringing in 2 people, one who was here last year, a second who we interviewed a few weeks back to actually be boots on the ground. Right now we have almost 300 open tickets in our middle school because some of the work that we did not do is re-image all of our instructional machines, re-image all of our administrative machines. We have different versions of software, and that's partly what's causing issues in our technology. So we need people to actually do that work. So part of this is the high-level technical support from BOCES, and part of this are 2 technicians that they're going to be providing on-site for us.
in the interest of just kind of letting you know what these budget transfers are, we have 2 that are related to Go Math Tech. One is in the $10,000, $10,221, and the other is $10,326. Anybody have any other comments or questions, Mr. Esper? Mr. Price? Okay, Ms. O'Hagan, you good? those in favor?
Aye.
Our favorite one. The Board of Education awards the Treat It Dust Mom bid number 201516 to Dependable Dust, the lowest responsible bidder, as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Dependable dust in my house.
Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Any questions or comments on this? Besides the dependable dust in Ms. O'Hagan's house?
Very
All right. All right, all those in favor? Aye. The Board of Education approves the contract with JAG Architects, the district's architect, to conduct the 2015 building condition survey as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Pratt, second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions on this?
I actually didn't understand the last, part, last year, this league ratio was 63.3%, what's meant by that?
That's the percentage that we get back from New York State.
Okay.
And this is a required building condition survey, we don't have a choice.
Every
We do it
5
every
years.
5 years.
So like it's
It's the one that
required,
Mr. Vandazzo was so thrilled, but you can tell it gave us for.
it's required that you can do it, give us 66%.
If anybody wants to crawl through the woodwork, just let us know. Okay,
That's gonna be my job. Yes, yes, I'm bringing it dependable dust.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education renews the agreement with Right Risk Management to provide administrative and claims management services necessary to operate the Baldwin School District's self-insured workers' compensation plan for the 2015-2016 school year at last year's unchanged fee of $71,500 as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan,
Second.
second by Mr. Price. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves of,
Sorry, question. So this is done annually, and how long have you utilized this company?
I think this will be the third.
So we self-insure our workers' compensation,
Right.
but they run it.
Okay, this is the third year.
so you voted for this?
I did, I just wanted to.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. The Board of Education approves a contract with Ms. Dana Malongi to provide evaluation and counseling services for 2015-16 school year as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price,
Second.
second by Mrs. O'Hagan. I will make the statement that Mr. Moore used to make, which is there is no increase in rates for this contract. So, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves a contract with Dr. Nicole Marin to provide evaluation and counseling services for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press, second by Mr. Ressler. Any questions or comments on this item? And again, there are no increases in the rates for this contract. All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves a contract with Ms. Erin McHenry to provide evaluation and counseling services for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press,
Second.
second by Mrs. DeRusker. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay. Dr. Murphy, Mr. Captain, no increases in rates on this as well. Trade them up. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Board of Education approves a contract with Ms. Laura.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Allison. I'm sorry. The Board of Education approves a contract with Ms. Allison Mullis to provide evaluation and counseling services for 2015-16 school year as detailed in Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price.
Second.
Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Any questions or comments on this item? No rate increase on this either. All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves a contract with Ms. Laura Matrano to provide evaluation and counseling services for 2015-16 school year as detailed in the Friday mailing.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. O'Hagan,
Second.
second by Mr. All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves a contract with Dr. Allison M. Maloney to provide evaluation counseling services for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in Friday morning.
So
Moved by Mr. Press.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Tereska. Any questions or comments on this item?
no.
We're ready in All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves a contract with Judge Rottenberg Center in the amount of $91,784 for one student attending a private residential school for the 2015-16 school year as detailed in the Friday.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price. Second by Mrs. Hagan. Any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education declares obsolete an airflow road sander, model AFPS serial number 15089, which is corroded beyond repair as per state rules and regulations as detailed in the Friday meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. Hagan. Are there any questions or comments?
Actually, do we have to go out and buy another one? Because this is corroded, do we have? We do? I went and looked this up, just what it was, because I, what is an airflow road?
We actually did not say
I
that.
did,
That was on the day we
Great.
were on phones and.
nothing else. Okay.
All right. So, are there any other questions on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Suspension of policy 1130. Board of Education approves the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby suspends policy 1130, use of buildings and grounds in connection with the permit applications made by the Baldwin Bombers for the 2015-16 school year, except the Board of Education does not suspend the procedures set forth in 3 permit procedure, which said groups must comply with in connection with the requested use of buildings and or grounds. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the permit application of the Baldwin Bombers subject to A, foregoing permit application procedures, B, dates to be mutually agreed upon between the applicants and the district, and C, use will not be granted in the event that the facilities are needed by the district.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Hagan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Price. Any questions or comments on this item?
So just to confirm, now there are 3 organizations that have exceptions, right?
There's more.
There's more.
That's just, yeah, and this is one of the policies that have to be revisited.
That was my next one, so you can table it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Use of facilities. The Board of Education approves the use of facilities report for September 2015 through June 2016 as detailed in the Friday meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price. Second by Mrs. Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Board of Education priorities 2015-2016. Board of Education adopted the following Board of Education priorities for the 2015-16 school year. 1, improve student performance while addressing differences in achievement between different demographic groups. 2, expand the use of technology to improve communication inside and outside the school community and on technology as an instructional tool to enhance education outcomes. 3, refine and expand the Career Academy program. And 4, inspire cultural awareness and sensitivity that builds character and citizenship throughout the Baldwin community.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The Board of Education approves the following resolution. Be it resolved that upon reviewing the decision of the superintendent of schools made on August 20, 2015, and the appeal letter dated August 20, 2015, the decision made by the superintendent of schools in the matter of SW is sustained.
So moved.
So,
Second.
I'm gonna give Mr. Ruskin, moved by Mr. Ruskin. Hold on,
Actually,
hold on,
yeah.
hold on. Moved by Mr. Ruskin, second by Mr. Press. We cannot discuss this, we had a discussion on this in executive session. So, what this motion is on the floor, just to be clear, is that we are voting to sustain the decision that was made by the superintendent currently, as it stands.
Depending on that,
The next one.
maybe.
Right.
Oh, okay, the or confused.
Okay,
Any
right,
part of it.
right. So I started with this one, and if it doesn't, then we go to the next one. Okay, all right, so are we all clear what we're voting? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Was that, that's everyone else? Okay. So, foreign exchange student, the Board of Education approves the attendance of AFS foreign exchange student KK at Baldwin High School without tuition for the 2015-16 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price. Second by Mrs. O'Hagan. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
The Board of Education approves the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Baldwin Municipal School District hereby appoints Sharon Finkelstein to serve as an impartial hearing officer for case 11624. Notification of such appointment was made on August 31st, 2015. So moved by Mrs. Hagan,
Second.
second by Mr. Press. Any questions or comments on this side? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Policy and procedures 3659 credit cards. Board of Education approves for a second reading the policy and procedures for 3659 credit cards as detailed in front of you.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price. Second by Mrs. O'Day. Are there any questions or comments on this item?
I have a question, go ahead. Whose name will be on the card? It seems like so it'll be issued to one, and you yourself?
It's gonna be issued to Baldwin School District with either my name or Mr. Draper's name on it.
Okay,
That's discretion.
but it will only be one card?
One card, and it will be housed in a safe in the district office.
Okay.
I have a question. My question is, would it be appropriate, not trying to micromanage, but just I'm curious what the policy is or how this works. Would it be appropriate for the board to receive a copy of the monthly statement, or would this be something that would appear in an audit report as to?
Well, was the point of modifying this to say that it had to be through the bank, so that the treasurer will always see a copy of this attached to the bank statement. There'll be no way now to have this attached to other documents. So they would review it. I think you'll see that you can do that for person who buys, but it will be infrequent and trivial.
I understand. I guess it's just, you know,
Well, and to just, for the purpose of the public, clarify why, and to give you one specific example, our URL, baldwinschools.org, we purchased through a company called GoDaddy. There's a few places where you can buy them. In order to do that, you have to be able to pay online. So you either have to pay through a credit card or through a PayPal account for us to be able to use that. Currently, that was in the PayPal account of a former employee. And so we needed to be able to transfer it. And we don't think it has any place on any individual person's credit card or PayPal account. It makes sense for things like that, to be able to have it on a district credit card so that it is clear. I think the spending limit on the credit card is like $1,000. We made it really low for that reason. And it really is just, I wouldn't even call it convenience. It's just in this day and age, it's a necessity to be able to do things like that.
And the claims auditor will review, so it feels on the regular basis.
So do we don't need to vote on the second reading. We won't vote on the second reading.
Well,
We approved the second reading, so now vote on that and then vote to approve the policy policy itself. Okay, so the Board of Education approves.
Well, we didn't vote on this.
You vote the
Yeah,
second
we
motion.
voted on
Okay, that's- okay.
Yeah.
All right. So can I have all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, we're gonna go to the Board of Education. Use the policy procedures 3659 credit cards as detailed in 5 minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Press. Second by Mrs. O'Connor. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we're gonna go on to other. Mr. Press? I know you do.
This is the brochure that was sent out for comments. Does anyone have any additional comments about this brochure?
I do, however, I didn't know that was gonna be brought up in other today, and I did not bring that brochure with me.
I'm sorry.
So, nobody,
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know that was gonna be brought up,
That's
so.
not-
Oh, well, if you did mention it, that's fine. You had some comments.
I don't have it.
You
So, I'm sorry.
We'll put it on the next meeting.
But, yeah, we can put it on for approval for next meeting. And I checked with Marion Sabowski, she did say that we can, because we talked about it in public, we can individually give feedback to, you know, in terms of correction, it will not be considered a meeting on time. So if you have comments or questions or things that you want to, grammar, things that need to be fixed, please send them. So that we can kind of move this process along. Send them to Joel. Okay? Yeah, okay, all right. All right.
One other thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Just, but then this is just the BEA, Baldwin Educational Assembly, their first general meeting is Monday, October 5th at 8 o'clock at the high school. They did some really great work last year. We're hoping to continue that, the little competition we have going on. Welcome Dr. Draper to the Budget Advisory Committee. So we expect great things from you, so keep it with your colleagues. If anyone is interested in participating in any of those committees, and there's a flyer in the back. So if you are interested in either learning about the committees, the charges, or participating October 5th, 8 o'clock at the high school.
Anyone else have anything under other?
I did actually, I want to just touch on a bit upon talking about Brookside and safety. I know you mentioned it. Just to get your perspective, do you feel, Mr. Randazzo, that it is better? Obviously, I'm there every day, but I've gotten a lot of feedback about the traffic and safety at Brookside, and just wanted to get your perspective.
It's usually difficult, Oxford was with me in a couple of those days, but
Right.
it's difficult in the beginning of school because you have new students coming in. But it seems to pan out. I think they're getting used to the way we operate there, but we're going to see what the problem is. Once you start getting snow, you start getting into that, people, it's going to get a little tighter. So right now, it's better than it was last year, I think, from what we've done so far. So I'm hoping that's
Do we have a higher head count at Brookside this year than last year? Is that playing a role? I'm wondering, is that the case? And the other question is, how many people do you feel are needed to conduct traffic? Is it the 2 or 1? Because that number has been inconsistent in terms of who's managing traffic there.
There's definitely a guard needed at the apron because the apron is so large. And a lot of students walk across that apron.
Correct.
And then we have a guard in the middle of the parking lot to get students across because when cars
Yes.
go in. So definitely those two have to be there. I think it's okay with those two. Additional would be, I don't think it would help.
So it's the two.
But definitely the two.
And that's the new procedure. So they're coming in, they're dropping off, they're going out, and the barrier that we have to kind of force people to make a right turn
Right.
as opposed to making a left turn. There's definitely a difference, and there are more kids. Right now, our enrollment at Brookside is 316 as compared to 291 last year, so it's a difference of about 25 kids.
And hopefully more of them enroll in breakfast, which will probably
Even out.
even out. That's what I'm hoping will happen.
What we really need in every building is the cooperation of the parents. That's what we really need.
You look at the, you look at
I mean, I honestly feel that in this day and
It's not just Brookside.
Okay,
White Plaza.
yeah, it's crazy too. Even if some type of letter could just focus on that alone, I mean, it came along with everything that was being said in the letter, but I do feel that we may want to address a letter solely on that. My concern is more with these kids. Yesterday, there was actually only one cross guard, not two. In the evening, there weren't two people there. And some of those kids, they get to, run by, so no one was looking at that side.
right.
People are-
I had to deal with that this morning when he was, speaking to security, because he happened not to be there, but luckily I was.
Right, you were there this
So
morning,
I
right?
was doing that, unfortunately, but yes, that's the,
Well, because you can't do sand in, because the machine's broken.
No.
So-
That's all that I have.
But the congestion on this roadside is really just beautiful.
Right in.
Yeah, there's only eight or nine vehicles that park in that strip there.
And maybe, like, there could be concern, and I'm just throwing this out there, concern that between the district and PTA and all the entities.
Right.
To really,
Getting more involved in it as well.
to get on that, because, I mean, like Dr. Han said, you can make the best plan, but if you're not getting cooperation from all parties involved, it doesn't work, does it?
Thank you.
Hi there, yeah, these are actually concerns that other people have asked me about. One is that, so there are no early buses anymore to the middle school, right? And apparently there are some teachers who are offering their 2 extra helps in the morning. And is there any policy that says you have to honor your extra helps in the afternoon, especially now that there's no bus to get kids to school early and, parents are out.
There's supposed to be one in the morning and one after ninth period.
Each teacher's supposed to have one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So maybe that's something that can be checked into. And the other one, oh yeah, going from 8th to 9th period, when kids are going to the homework center or whatever you're calling it, is it the same amount of time as between other periods? Because what I heard is that kids aren't able to get to that homework center on time, and if they're even a second length, they have detention.
I haven't heard that. I actually think there's a little bit more time. There's more time.
Maybe check on the detention numbers for that reason being.
What do I have to do with detention and homework?
I know, but they have detention then. I think that detention would then be after 9th period and interfere with like sports or clubs or whatever else for being linked to the homework center.
How is that working then? Like the after school life, like people leaving from, if they're not going to the pre-academy, they're going to.
So far, seems to be working out really well. We haven't heard anything, which is always really good.
It's not over, you're not hearing anything like it's over, crowds or something.
Oh, I wasn't listening. Just
I'm not hearing any of that. And the only program that has, it started, but we're waiting for the equipment, is the coding class. We're expecting that equipment to come September 18th. But they still started the academy, but that's, through Hofstra, it's a grant to Hofstra, so we're waiting to get that equipment.
I ran some of your classes. I tried it. Did you? Yeah, I tried it, remember before you made a decision, it's this little small box. It's a little small box, you can hook it up to my big screen TV downstairs. It's kind of cool. No, not quite, I have the program. I gotta learn how to use the basic language, I guess. So anyone else have anything else on the item? All right, before we go into our second comment section, I would like to, I was going to read the important dates to highlight ones. There are a bunch, but I'm just going to read the highlighted ones. So just for you to know, just for your information, school is closed next Monday and Tuesday, September 14th and September 15th. It's also closed on Wednesday, September 23rd. As Mr. Press mentioned, the BEA Assembly General Meeting is Monday, October 5th, 8 p.m. at the high school cafeteria B. School is closed again, Monday, October 12th. And our next board meeting is on Wednesday, October 14th, 8 p.m. at Brookside.
Where you can only make a right now, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Was your orange or what, fluorescent green safety, oh, you're wearing a blue shirt? Okay.
Open blue.